So what would I teach? If I could teach a course today or design a course to teach today, what would I teach and who would it be for? One idea is emotional freedom so going from surviving to thriving, making the shift in mindset for children of immigrants. And I mean my generation or younger, who grew up with a certain type of survivalist mentality and who are interested in how to make that shift into creativity and abundance. And I would love to find a market for that. I think it's really important. I think it's been the most important journey of my life in that individuation. The difficulty I've faced may be pretty rare, but I don't think it's singular. I think there are people that can identify with parts of it. What would that entail? I think a reading list and a study group on certain core readings to get introduced to this area would be important, and that's something that I really would need to work on in terms of how do I introduce someone to this topic through other people's writing. And it would have to involve some experiential longitudinal experience. So I could imagine giving sort of an introductory seminar on the subjects, but for really people to get the impact, it would be some sort of longitudinal program. Now, I'm going through Christine Kane's program right now, which is just fascinating to me on so many levels, and I think will be helpful to me as I go through it. And what I love is that she has a system of sending people daily emails, audios, and videos, and handouts. So sort of a multimedia kit that comes in small doses regularly over a period of time. I think it's a really effective way to get these concepts home. What I'm finding is this weekly call, especially when you're coming to something new with a novice in this area, I think it's challenging for most people who are in busy jobs and really don't have that mental space created yet. They need it to be created for them in a systematic way at first. And then they can decide what to do with it, but it's like setting that habit. It's ironic because it's the same issue that I had difficulty getting a system in place for the parents in my school who didn't already know how to establish that. And that was a really big blind spot for me because I didn't know really what the challenges were for people to create new habits. I just kind of said, I just gave endpoints, but didn't really know enough to address the challenges of achieving those. I think I have a little bit more grasp of that now, but it's still sort of an area where I'm not as aware because it's a strength for me. The whole idea of self-care for the caring professional and living creatively, going from classical to improv, those are two other main themes for me that are really interesting. And so it's a question of how I would package them and who I would market those to. Self-care for the caring professional, I think, goes very well with teachers, doctors, nurses, anybody who's caring for others as part of their profession. I think that's a good target market, and I would definitely go after sort of the women who are in roles that demand giving emotionally, or that we perceive as demanding our emotional giving. And I would target mind-body things. I really would like it to be an periodic in-person meetings, plus maybe weekly teleclasses to check in. So I teach some of these practices and introduce the concepts, and then they go home and we have check-ins on how people are doing. That seems like a really effective way to go about it. And the final one about living creatively and improv, I just really believe that these would be for people that are talking a lot about living creatively, reading a lot, and maybe, going to all the seminars that they can find that talk about this subject but haven't really done it in their bodies, or could use another experience where they're doing it in their bodies, very highly participatory. That's how I like to run the improvisation, because I just think it's so powerful on its own that I could talk all day and not get really anywhere except in the mind, and I want people to actually get out of the mind and stop focusing so much on concepts, and instead get into the body and its experience of things, the felt experience of things, from actually going through it. And that's sort of enough and perhaps too much, even in terms of picking one or two that I would really like to just focus on and do well. And what I really know after going to Orange County is that I don't need to be traveling as my main source of importance in work. I really feel that I have an opportunity here locally. There's enough of a population base and enough awareness that this work should be able to launch right here. And there was no doubt in my mind about the music. I mean, there's where there in a rational basis, there was probably less chances of that in theory happening than this. So I'm removing all fear and doubt. I'm no longer blaming or complaining. And I'm going to move forward with these two principles of clarity in my intention, and see what pairs out of the teaching component in the next